Bienvenue. Guten Tag. Welcome to the wonderful world of the German case system and to my short introduction into the nominative and accusative case, into the subject and the direct object. Whenever you encounter a German noun, you will wonder about the gender. Is it a der, a masculine, a die, a feminine, or das a neuter? Now, this is important because if you're making the wrong choice, then unfortunately the sentence that you're trying to create is not correct. So let's take a look at this example. We have here a boy who's playing guitar. Now, it's fairly easy to exclude the definite article die in the plural form because we have only one boy, and we are left with a der, die, das. The boy plays guitar. Der Junge spielt Gitarre. Now, the boy is, of course, masculine, although if you look at the E at the end, it shows it's clearly an exception because normally a substantive that ends in an E will be feminine. However, it's der Junge. Now, let's look at those two columns. And the first one shows the column for the definite article in the nominative case, and the subject will always be in the nominative case, and the column for the accusative definite articles for the direct object. Now, if you compare those two columns, nominative and column 2 accusative, you will notice something. Correctly, you notice that although there is no difference between the feminine, the nominative die, and the accusative die, there's no difference between the neuter, nominative and accusative, and the plural, nominative and accusative. You did notice that the masculine, the der, changes and becomes a den. So, lucky us, we don't have to worry about the feminine, the neuter, and the plural. They will be identical forms, whether they are in the nominative or in the accusative case, but we have to be careful with the masculine nouns because here the change is mandatory. So let's put all this into practical reality. For example, was kaufen Sie? What do you buy? Well, whatever you buy will be a direct object, and therefore you will have to use the accusative. And here you have a sentence that tells you how it could work. Ich kaufe die, a feminine object. Ich kaufe das, a neuter noun. Ich kaufe den, a masculine noun. So let's take a look at those examples. Ich kaufe den Hund, I buy the dog. Ich kaufe das Handy, I buy the cell phone. Ich kaufe die Tasche, I buy the bag. Ich kaufe den Koffer, I buy this piece of luggage. Now again, the neuter hasn't changed, the feminine hasn't changed, but the masculine, der Hund, became den Hund, der Koffer became den Koffer. Are you beginning to feel more comfortable with the idea of the nominative and accusative case? I think you're ready to try to write down 3 sentences about 3 things that you're going to buy. You can use these items here on the screen, or you can buy other items, whatever you like, but I would like you to use a feminine noun, a masculine noun, and a neuter noun. So that's your first little homework exercise. So let's look at this. What is actually a subject or a nominative? Well, the nominative is simply one of the 4 cases that exist in German. But what is a subject? That's very important to know, because the subject is who or whatever performs the action, and the action is expressed in the verb. Now let me show you some 4 examples actually. Ich lese, I read. Well, I'm the one doing the reading. Therefore, I perform the actions, which makes me a subject, and ich is in the nominative case. Die Studentin arbeitet. The female student works, which says who's doing the working. It's the female student, so she's the subject. That means she's in the nominative case. Der Student isst. The male student eats. He's the one doing the eating. That means he is the subject in the nominative case. And of course, we can also have inanimate objects who can be subjects. For example, the car drives. Das Auto fährt. Yeah, what is driving? Das Auto, the car. So this is our subject in the nominative case. So the subject always responds to the question what, if it is an inanimate object, und wer, who. Let me give you an example. Was ist interessant? What is interesting? Der Deutschkurs ist interessant. The German course is interesting. Of course it is. So here again, you ask about the subject, what is interesting, and it's der Deutschkurs. So the Deutschkurs is the subject in this short phrase, and it is in the nominative case. Another variation. Wer spielt Tennis? Who is playing tennis? We. We are playing tennis. Wir spielen Tennis. So the question wer asks for the subject. Who's the one doing the action? We are doing the action. So wir are the subject in the nominative case. Now what is the accusative or the direct object? Well, a direct object is always upon which the subject is acting upon. Let me give you some examples. I read a book. Ich lese ein Buch. So I'm the subject doing the reading, but what am I reading? A book. I'm acting the performance of reading upon the book. Oder der Student isst ein Eis. The student eats ice cream. Or der Student isst einen Kuchen. He eats a cake. Der Student isst eine Suppe. He eats a soup. What is he eating? Whatever he's eating will be in the direct object, will be using the accusative case. Die Studentin trifft den Mann. The female student meets the man. Whom is she meeting? The man. That's our direct object, and it's therefore in the accusative case. So you remember you had to change der Mann to den Mann, and I'm sure you also noticed that Kuchen is masculine, so it's einen Kuchen, a cake, und den Mann, the man, but the same en ending to indicate the masculine accusative. And here the verb for to meet is actually treffen. Now you look at the infinitive, you look at the third person singular, you realize this is an irregular verb conjugation, but I'm pretty confident that you actually right now can conjugate that verb, because you remember the rules that the plural will be as easy as pie. That means the plural will not be affected by the vowel change. The first person singular, the ich, will not be affected by the vowel change. So only the du and the RCS form will be, you will have to change the vowel here. So try to conjugate the verb treffen, but make sure you compare it with an online version to make sure you're correct. But I'm pretty confident you can do it. Let's move on to the questions. So the direct object responds to the questions was, what, und wen, whom. Now, let's take a look at this. Wen liebt Peter? Whom does Peter love? Peter liebt seine Freundin. Peter loves his girlfriend. And his girlfriend, in this case, is of course the direct object, and therefore in the accusative case. Was liebt Peter? What does Peter love? Liebt Pizza. He loves pizza. So he again, the subject, loves what? The direct object, pizza. A last example for you. Next to this nice picture, we have the phrase repariert die Lampe. He repairs the lamp. So, who repairs the lamp? Wer repariert die Lampe? And the answer is clear. Repariert die Lampe. He repairs the lamp. And of course, is the subject and therefore in the nominative case. Whether you say der Mann repariert die Lampe or Mann repariert die Lampe, both are in the nominative case and both are subjects. This is simply the personal pronoun. Now you can of course ask the other question. Was repariert er? What does he repair? He repairs the lamp. Repariert die Lampe. And die Lampe will be our direct object, and that will be in the accusative case. I think by now you're starting to have a nice grasp on the difference between the subject and the direct object, the nominative and the accusative case. Now, the last couple of slides are especially meant for French speakers, because in English, actually, there is a difference between who and whom, but in French, for wer und wem, who and whom, you only have qui. Let me show you what I mean. Qui est l'homme? Qui est la femme? Qui est l'enfant? L'homme, c'est mon père. Der Mann ist mein Vater. Ja, so, wer ist der Mann? Wer ist die Frau? Wer ist das Kind? You're asking again about the subject using wer, and the answer in that phrase would be der Mann ist mein Vater. Yeah, the man is my father. So the man and my father both are in the nominative cases because the subject is der Mann. And if you want to ask now about the direct object, you have to change the question word. It's no longer wer, but it will be wen. In French again, it would be qui aimes-tu? Wen liebst du? J'aime l'homme. Ich liebe den Mann. J'aime la femme. Ich liebe die Frau. J'aime l'enfant. Ich liebe das Kind. So, ich liebe, I'm the subject, but whom I love, wen ich liebe, will be, in the accusative case, will be a direct object. So, what do you think? You're happy? And you got a good grasp on the difference between wer and wen, and the difference between the subject and the accusative case? Well, I certainly hope so. If not, you have other exercises and other videos to look at and to kind of consolidate all the information you get and practice a little bit. And for this reason, if you're not sure about the specific verb conjugation, double check so that it's sehen und verstehen. Watch them and understand them and do the on exercises.